All right, algebra students, welcome back to day 4. Our essential question is not changing. Can I solve equations with x to the power of 2, or a variable to the power of 2? So radical equations, we did a few days with our square roots. We call any equation with x to the square root, x to the second power, a radical equation because we're going to have to solve it using radicals because those are inverses of each other. Just note that there are 2 videos today. This first video has some examples with some new things. We're going to figure out how to use simplifying radicals to solve some equations or to solve our answers. And then the second video is going to be something brand new, so make sure to watch that video as well. So we're just going to start off with 2 examples in this video. Again, we're going to kind of figure out, okay, what happens if my answer is not simplified? So we have 2x squared plus 4 is equal to 10. And if we look at our notes, our first step is to get the x squared by itself. I don't know if you guys remember all the way back to what, chapter 2, when we did absolute values. You had to get the absolute value all by itself and then split it up into 2 equations. You need to get the x squared all by itself before you can go on to the next step. So let's get that x squared by itself. Okay, still not by itself, divide by 2, the inverse of multiplication by 2. All right, the x squared is equal to 3. At this point, once you get the x squared by itself, you are going to square root both sides. You don't always square root at the very beginning. You always square root when you get the x squared by itself. So we're going to square root. Our answer in this case is plus or minus, because in this case you'd want a positive number that would multiply by itself to be 3 and a negative number by itself. That would be 3. But, the square root of 3, does that become a whole number? Nope, the square root of 3 actually is my answer. And your answer is plus or minus. I'm just going to add that as our little step 3 down there. So in this point, you would hopefully say, okay, am I done? I got the x squared by itself. I'm just going to circle that. And when I get my answer, you always want to make sure that it is simplified. You would not leave your answer as 4 over 8. You would want to simplify it as 1 over 2. So the square root of 3 is actually simplified. So we are done. That would be your final answer. Let's try another example. 2x squared is equal to 48. So I'm going to follow these same steps. Get the x squared by itself, because it is not. So I got to divide by 2. X squared is equal to 24. Okay, awesome. That was shorter than the last one. Step 2, square root both sides, because that's going to get rid of that squaring like that. Bloop, bloop. They go away, and I am left with x. And the third step is just make sure that when you're square rooting both sides, your answer is a plus or minus the square root of 24. Now, hopefully, you're saying that is not done. So take a second to think, why is that not complete? Why would I not accept that answer? That is not simplified, because there's a perfect square that goes into 24. 1 does, 4 does, 9 does not, 16 does not, and 25 is bigger. So 4 is the only perfect square that goes in. And 4 goes in how many times? 4 goes in 6 times. Are you guys seeing how these 2 things are the same? The square root of 24 is the same as the square root of 4 times the square root of 6. But we like the square root of 4 because the square root of 4 is actually 2. That is your final answer.